you gorgeous individuals, it's Kav here, and today I'm going to be talking about what the Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu means to me. So I was fortunate enough to receive an ARC of this novel, which is honestly one of the biggest things that has happened to me in the book community so far, because if you have been following me for basically any amount of time, you know how much Cassandra Clare and her work means to me. So being able to get this ARC into my hands is absolutely everything to me, and I owe a huge thank you to my friend Grace, who is at Grace's Library on Bookstagram, for helping me get this ARC into my hands. I'm just so thankful for that. And I read this novel, and originally I was going to do an ARC review of it, which is what I generally do if I receive an ARC, but once I opened the acknowledgements page, I almost started sobbing. I didn't start sobbing because I was in public, so it's a very good thing that I did not, but all I could think about was how much this book meant to me. And I could do a review of this novel, and I would honestly be happy to do a review of this novel, but I thought it would be a lot more meaningful and just a lot more noteworthy to do something about what this book means to me. And I know that if I was a viewer personally, what would entice me more to at least researching a book would be to hear a personal story of how it changed a reader's life in the best way possible. So that's what I wanted to do for this book instead, and I did do a review for it. I did do a review for it on my Goodreads, so I will link that in the description below if you'd like to hear my less sentimental feelings for it, but I do think some sentiment did get into that as well. But, you know, for this video I wanted to do something a little bit more meaningful, and I don't necessarily think you have to even be a fan of Cassandra Clare or a fan of the Shadowhunter world to appreciate this video, because you don't have to like a specific book to acknowledge and understand the power reading has and the power books have for us. That's basically the reason we're all here. So I don't have this video fully planned out, so I will leave it in the description below if there are going to be any spoilers, so check that before watching this video if you're not caught up on the books. But with that, let's jump right into it. So I think to start out with trying to express what this means to me, I need to give a tiny bit of background for those of you who might not fully understand why I am so in my feels about this arc. Cassandra Clare and her work basically means everything to me, and it is the reason that I am on BookTube today. I discovered BookTube because of Cassandra Clare's books. I discovered my love of reading through the Shadowhunter Chronicles, and I discovered my love of writing through it as well. But I mean, in the least dramatic way possible, it's also a huge part of the reason that I'm even alive today, because these books were there for me in my absolute darkest of times. I go back to them whenever I am sad or even when I'm happy, because they have supported me through everything in my life. They've been there for me when people weren't, when nothing else was. These books have always been a crutch for me to fall back on, and with that background, it should at least give a little bit of insight as to why this arc has made me so up in the air. But on the other hand, this specific book also means a little bit more for me for another reason. The Red Scrolls of Magic follows the story of Alec and Magnus, who are two of the main characters in this universe, and Magnus is one of the few characters who is actually in, I think, every single Shadowhunter book to date, while Alec is one of the protagonists of the Mortal Instruments, and this book follows the two of them on their romantic vacation that takes place in the City of Fallen Angels. So Cassandra Clare said she specifically left a space in that book to explore their relationship more deeply. Now, this is huge because this is one of a few books that features a romantic fantasy adventure of a queer biracial couple. That is big. Some people may not agree with me on this, and that's okay. You don't have to agree with my point of view, but I truly am thankful to Cassandra Clare for the work she has done to promote diversity and representation in her books. City of Bones first came out in 2007. This was a time when queer literature wasn't even talked about. So for her to write a gay character as one of the main characters of that series is absolutely huge, and then for her to write Magnus Bane's character into existence, a queer Asian character, that is so big, and she has put him in every single book of the Shadowhunter Chronicles. And I feel that she has just gone further with her movement for diversity and representation in the dark artifices the representation is beyond exquisite, especially with the fact that she included a trans woman of color and the fact that she included a biracial polyamorous relationship. That is huge, and she's even going further with it with the last hours, which the main character is half Persian, so she's a woman of color, and one of the main characters, Anna Lightwood, who means everything and more to me, is a genderqueer lesbian, which is my exact identity. So I think that she really truly does care, and that is why she's including this diversity, not just for points. I've had the opportunity to tell her that myself, and just talking to her, I could hear how earnest she was in her movement to represent people's stories so authentically, and having a co-writer, Wesley Chu, who is Asian, I think just further emphasizes the point that she's doing this out of care, not out of hope for diversity points, and that is everything to me. And the representation in the Red Scrolls of Magic does go beyond Alec and Magnus's characters, and it is brilliant with those two characters, but she has a lot of supporting characters make reappearances, and she even has some new characters make appearances, and so many of them are from these underrepresented communities. The Red Scrolls of Magic is so unapologetically queer, and not just with Alec and Magnus's characters, but also with the characters that make reappearances. I'm gonna share 4 of them in this video because those 4 meant the most to me outside of the 2 main characters. So if you don't want to know, don't listen to that part, but I really want to talk about them. So the first character to make a reappearance in this book is Rafael Santiago, who is actually the first Cassandra Clare character I ever fell in love with, which probably sounds weird because in City of Bones he was not the nicest individual, but I was fascinated by his character immediately. And Rafael Santiago is an Aro Ace Latino vampire, so that is big. And in this book he has a great quote where he says, "I'm not gay, I'm not straight, I'm not interested." And Alec responds by asking, "Your sexuality is not interested?" And Raphael says, "That's right," which I just think was iconic. And then another character who is kind of introduced in this novel, though she has made cameos in some of the other books, is Lily Chen, who is a pansexual Asian vampire, also part of the New York Vampire Clan. Her character, oh my god, I love her. We have only been able to see a little bit of her so far, but a friendship between her and Alec does start in this book, and I really hope that we get to see more of that as we delve more into this series, because it was just so brilliant. And finally, these may be the 2 characters that meant the most to me. This book also shows the first time Helen and Aline meet each other, and Helen and Aline are the big sapphic relationship of Cassie Clare's work, and I mean that in itself means everything to me. Helen is a bisexual half fairy, half shadow hunter, while Aline is an Asian lesbian shadow hunter, and as an Asian lesbian myself, that is very big. And they have started to get more time in the books, especially with the Dark Artifices, and now with the Red Scrolls of Magic. They were really there throughout the second half of the book, and we got to see the first happenings of their romance and how it started, and that just means everything to me because their relationship means so much. So not only do we get to explore a brilliantly crafted queer male by male relationship, we also get a little bit of exploration of a brilliantly explored female by female relationship as well, and that is everything to me. I feel like that's what I keep saying in this video, but that's because it's true. It is everything to me. And I just think that there's something so big about Alec's character's growth specifically, because he is someone who started as a closeted gay male in a notoriously homophobic society where he wouldn't even talk about being gay to his sister, who accepted him for it. And now he's grown into someone who defends his identity, who stands up against people who tell him to hide his truth, who is in love and who is happy and proud to be in love. And I truly think that he has had some of the best character development in this series. I honestly think that he is probably the best developed character and the character with the most growth throughout the Shadowhunter Chronicles. It is truly moving to have watched a journey like that, to see someone go from being hated for who they are and ashamed of who they are to being someone who stands up against inequality and being someone who is one of the leaders of the movement to create a more equal society. And this is not to say that I don't love Magnus's character, because I do. I adore Magnus's character, but in terms of the meaningfulness, there is just something so deeply moving and deeply personal to me about the growth of Alec's character, and just the fact that he was you know, the first queer representation I ever got to read. He was the representation I had before I even understood my need for representation. And I think that's one of the reasons why looking for books with diverse themes has never felt like a struggle for me, because my favorite author, the author who has written the books that have meant everything to me, was already including books with diverse themes from when she started writing. And none of this is to say that the plot of this book isn't brilliant. It is so amazing. But first of all, I don't want to talk about that because I think that it's better to explore it yourself because of all the plot twists and all the twists and turns that happen. That's something you have to read for yourself. I don't want to talk about that to you until you've read it. But also, whereas that is so good, and that definitely makes this book a 5-star read for me, this book is going to stay with me forever, and this book is going to be so close to my heart for, the rest of my life because of what it means to me, because of the fact that it is bigger than just being an action-packed romantic fantasy adventure, which it is, but it is bigger than that. It is a book with so many other messages about the validity of queer love and just love in all capacities. I think that's something that Cassie Clare has done in her books that has always continued to wow me, is include subliminal messages about the bigotry that exists in our world, and she does it through a fictional world, but she makes it quite obvious that she's drawing parallels to our real world, and then she writes these characters who are willing to stand up against that and who are willing to fight back against that, and I think that that is huge. Alec and Magnus's relationship is one that is so notoriously loved by so many people because it is the first time that a lot of us realize that our truths are worth it, our stories are worth it. And while seeing their journey throughout all of the other Shadowhunter Chronicles has been brilliant, to see it in a book where they are the main characters, where it is their story, it is not them in Jason Clary's story, it is not them in Julian and Emma's story, but it is them in their story, is something so big and so huge. Cassandra Clare's dedication in this novel is everyone deserves a great love story, and that is so moving and so brilliant. This entire novel, I was just doing my best not to sob because of how much it meant to me. I love this novel for so many reasons. I am so invested in the plot of this novel, like legitimately the cliffhanger it left me on. I absolutely cannot wait till the next book in this series comes out. I am so invested in this novel because of that, but I treasure this novel because of what it stands for. It stands for love, and it stands for queer love specifically. That is so meaningful, and I'm so thankful every day to the fact that I picked up that one book when I was 12 years old, because little did I know how my life would change forever, but it did. To see myself represented by the woman who is the reason I read today is everything and more. I'm just thankful every day. I'm thankful to Cassandra Clare every day, and I'm thankful that I got a chance to read this book, that I'm getting to discuss it with you all, and my heart is absolutely full right now. So thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you did enjoy it, and I really hope that you can relate this experience to whichever book it is that changed your life. For those of you who are the biggest Cassandra Clare fans, like I myself am, The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu is out on April 9th of 2019, so if you are interested in the Shadowhunter world, definitely go and get yourself a copy of this, but before you get to this one, you have to start all the way at the very beginning, but it's worth it. But with that, that is all I have to say for this video, so thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe because that stuff makes me happy, and go ahead and comment down below and let me know whatever book it is that did this for you, or if you are a huge Cassandra Clare fan like myself, let me know if you're going to be picking up a copy of Red Scrolls of Magic and just how excited you are for it. And as usual, all of my social media and my Goodreads, as well as my Goodreads review of this book, will be linked in the description below if you'd like to follow me anywhere else. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you are having a lovely day or night wherever you are. Please remember that you are beautiful and you deserve the world, and I will see you soon for a brand new video. Goodbye!